Good afternoon, lovely people, and welcome to today's special edition of Navigating Divorce Law in New Jersey, only on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I am Rajni Bharara, your host, and today we are delving into the complexities of divorce law, focusing on alimony, child support, equitable distribution, and alternate dispute resolution. Joining us again today is attorney Seema Singh, an esteemed family law attorney with years of experience in this field. Welcome back, Seema, once again.
Thank you, Rajni. Always a pleasure to be on the show.
Always
And
a pleasure having you.
I know it's night in India, but good morning to all the listeners and the viewers.
Yes, people, wherever you're watching it from, CST, EST, IST zone. So, according to that, good morning, good evening, and well, not the right time to say good night for the Indian people, but yeah, let's continue with the show. Everyone, I would like to tell you that please note that this session is being streamed live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and the handle is Immigration Talk Show. So, don't forget to subscribe to us. And now, I would like to tell you that. Topic for today is navigating divorce law in New Jersey, understanding alimony, child support, equitable distribution, and alternate dispute resolution. And as I said, we are joined by attorney Seema Singh. So now, before we dive into the nitty gritty of divorce law in New Jersey, let's lay down some groundwork. Divorce, by its very nature, is a complex and emotionally charged process. In the state of New Jersey, navigating this legal terrain requires a solid understanding of the fundamental aspects of divorce law. From alimony to child support, equitable distribution to alternate dispute resolution, there's a lot to unpack. So, Seema, now I would like to come to you and I would like to ask you to, if you could please walk us through the fundamental aspects of divorce law in New Jersey and outline how the divorce process typically unfolds in the state.
Thank you, Rajni. Divorce in New Jersey has three components. To make it
Mhm.
very simple in layman's language, it
Sure.
involves children's issues, which is child support, custody, and visitation, and child support, the amount one parent pays to the other or they don't pay. The second part, a component of divorce law, is alimony. Alimony to one of the spouses because of various factors if they fall into
Right.
place. And the third aspect is equitable distribution of all marital assets, which includes their bank accounts, retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, real property, jewelry, furniture, fixtures, whatever they have accumulated during the marriage is equitably divided. It equitably doesn't necessarily mean 50-50, but it means equitably. Taking in consideration equities, you deduct from it what a party brought into the marriage, any premarital assets that have gone in, you deduct from it. So, equitably, all marital funds accumulated is divided. So, those are the three components. And how does divorce proceed typically? There is a fault divorce and there's a no fault divorce. If you do a no fault divorce, you can wait for 18 months and file. And these days in New Jersey, nobody waits 18 months. There's under irreconcilable differences, you file and it's a no fault, you get your divorce. There are there's a way, there's other fault categories that you can file under as well. And typically, a lot of people, even with the no fault, will file other claims such as extreme emotional cruelty, desertion, drunkenness, adultery. There are various other claims that they can also put, causes of action that they can put in the complaint if they do a fault divorce. Um, so you start the divorce process with the filing of a complaint for divorce, and which is then served personally to the husband and the spouse. If adultery is involved, you also have to name the person he's having the adulterous relation with, and you have to serve them a copy of the complaint as well. So that is how, you know, and then the divorce process starts. The other
Mhm.
party is then given a chance to come back with their answer and counterclaim. The discovery starts. You start pulling in, whatever assets the people have, what's the standard of living. If there are children involved, they go to custody and parenting counseling. There's a custody and parenting plan if they agree to. So that whole process of discovery starts. These days, courts have an early settlement panel. So every effort these days are made by the courts to have the parties settle and not try. Because as you said, it's emotionally charged. And when there are
Yeah.
kids involved, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So there's an early settlement panel right after all the discovery is done. The courts have panelists who are also attorneys, but they're seasoned, experienced attorneys who sit on the panel, and they'll give you a flavor for, this is how this case should settle. And the
Mm,
parties will get some kind of an idea. And if they settle at that point, great. If they don't, then they go to a next stage of economic mediation. Then an economic mediator has to be mandatorily hired, and you have to pay two attorneys at that point, and they then assist you in trying to break down the case and trying to settle. And it's literally like give and take, and let's
yeah.
get this over with, otherwise you're going to spend a ton of money if you go to trial. If it doesn't settle at that stage, then yes, you go to the final stage, you try the case, and then leave it in the hands of a judge who is going to make your decision for all of these factors. So that's how the divorce process goes in New Jersey.
Great. Thank you so much for explaining it in so much detail and so, beautifully. But then, because you mentioned alimony, so I would like to now talk to you about alimony. So if you can please, because you have mentioned a lot of things involving divorces and how the equity distribution also happens. So now, if I talk about, alimony, so what are the factors? Okay, here we have the question on screen as well. What factors determine whether alimony is awarded in a divorce case in New Jersey, and how is the amount of alimony determined?
Okay. So alimony in New Jersey is based upon 23 to 24 factors, which are highlighted in the new alimony law. And I'll give you examples of a few. So you have to first prove that the spouse asking for alimony needs the alimony. If it's a
Mm,
doctor who's making 500,000 and her husband is making 700 and she tries to claim alimony, she may
mhm,
not get it
mm,
because there's no need for it. Then you look at the ability of the payer to pay. Does he have the
mhm,
ability to pay? If he
mhm,
has the ability, if the one spouse is making $1 million, the other is making 500, he has the ability to pay, and you can argue that the standard of living will not be maintained if she doesn't get alimony. So that's another factor you look at. Then the length of the marriage, the age of the people, the differential in income, and if
mhm,
one of the spouses has been absent from the workplace because she's taking care of the kids, then that goes into determining that she lost so many years of her career because she was
right.
rearing the kids while he was earning, so she deserves alimony. The
Mhm,
health, the physical and mental health of the parties is looked into by the judges. The
mhm,
education levels, and if somebody was, being educated through the marriage and the other spouse was taking care of the kids and
mhm,
working and supporting this, that goes into consideration. So there are
mhm,
many, many factors that the judges will look at if this goes to trial to come
mhm,
up with an alimony number. There is no set formula in New Jersey to calculate alimony. There's no
mhm.
set formula. It's at the discretion of the court. And
Okay.
generally, I mean, the way I do it is I'll, take the differential in income,
Mhm,
divided by the number of years of marriage, and we come to
right.
some kind of a number. It's literally, there's no formula. You
Okay.
you look at the case information statements of both the parties. If the wife is making, say, $3,000 a month, but her expenses are 5,000, and the husband is making 10,000 and his expenses
Mhm,
are 5,000, we try and take that number also to make equalize them so that both are maintaining their standard of living. So there's no set formula. There, it's
mhm.
discretionary. It's on a case by case basis.
Okay, but since you said there is no formula, I mean, as an attorney, would you recommend that there should be a formula for alimony distribution?
You can't do a formula though, because if
Oh,
you have taken into effect all these factors, how are you going to do a formula?
yeah,
One spouse
that's
may have quit her job and reared the kids, the other may have been working. So how does that? I'm not even sure. I'm sure if the judiciary could come up with a formula, they would have done it by now.
yeah, that
So
is
you
also
have to,
true.
when you file a divorce case, it's not in a law division, it's in the court of equity. And you
Mm.
look at the equities should prevail for fairness of both parties when alimony is allotted or awarded.
But then sometimes, if one party is trying to take advantage or is trying to benefit, then how do you dissolve that?
I don't understand that question. Take advantage of
I'm trying to say,
how?
let's suppose, I mean, because I was on YouTube and watching these real court videos where a spouse, she quit her work and she did not she said that she's no longer working and she was getting alimony from her partner. but then the partner went to the court and the judge said, no, you'll have to work. So if such cases are there and one party is trying to take benefit from the other party, then how do you solve these cases?
Those are easy because if you quit your job, prior
Uh-huh.
to quitting your job, what were you working? What was your income? So I generally push to enforce that, impute that income on that person. So when we
Mm,
are calculating alimony, we pretend like she's still working and that's the salary. If she's capable of earning, that's the amount that should be allotted to her as though she is earning it. And then
mm,
there are labor statistics. So there, if you say you're a nurse and you haven't worked for 2 years, you can go
right.
back to the labor department stats and see how much a nurse with that kind of qualification should be
Mhm.
earning. So an income is imputed. If you are 100% homemaker, just at home doing nothing for 15 years, you've never done anything, that's a whole different scenario. But if you have
Okay.
been working and you deliberately quit to avoid alimony, there are
Mm.
ways to take care of it. The courts will impute the income that you have either made in the past or you are capable of making as per the labor stats.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for explaining it, Seema. Now, I would like to come to my next question. And the question is, are there different types of alimony in New Jersey? And
Yes.
can alimony agreements be modified? If yes, under what circumstances?
Okay, I'll answer. These are like three questions. So, what are the different types of alimony? So,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, there are four different types of alimony. The
Uh-huh.
first one is open durational. That's for people who have been married 20 plus years and where the spouse is dependent on the other spouse. So, that's open durational. There's no end date. You get an alimony award based upon all these factors. Then the second is limited durational, which is a dependent spouse, but it's a short term marriage. You get it for, so for example, if you're married for 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
you may get alimony for 3 years
Okay.
based upon the other factors.
Right.
The third is a rehabilitative alimony. In this case, it's a short term support that is given to the other spouse to either, have them obtain a job or get set in the job market or finish their education so that they can obtain a job. So it's like a temporary short term support given by one spouse to the other to just get them situated and on their feet. Then there is reimbursement alimony, and that kicks in when one spouse has been working and supporting the education of the other spouse. And the moment the other spouse becomes a doctor, he files for divorce. So, but for all these 6 years, your spouse has supported your education, so you can come up with a number and have them reimburse you in a form of alimony on a monthly basis, or you give a lump sum payment. So that's another form of alimony,
Mm.
which is called reimbursement alimony. So these
Okay.
are the four types of alimony.
Okay.
Your second question was what? Can
Can
alimony
they be,
agreements?
can the agreements be modified?
Yeah, anything can be modified. An agreement means it's by consent. Two parties have
Yeah.
agreed, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not something a judge is awarding. An
Right.
agreement between two parties can be modified by writing at any time.
Mm.
But if you want to go to court if you have an alimony award and you want to go to court to modify it, then you have to meet certain factors. You have to
Right.
either show that the other party had a job loss, or there was a substantial lottery the other spouse won, or
Mm.
there's a disabled one party who's paying the alimony has got disabled and can't afford it. Um, Cohabitation is another way that you can get alimony modified, but that's not by agreement, that's by a court ordered award. But
Mm.
even in alimony agreements, you can put these factors in that if any of this takes place, we can go to court to get it modified.
Okay. Okay.
You can
Okay.
put it in your agreement that
Uh-huh.
alimony can be modified or terminated based upon these events occurring.
Okay. Okay. So I was about to actually ask you that under what circumstances, and I think we already covered it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's quickly move to our next question because I already have too many questions that I wanted to ask. And also, I have a lot of questions that people here have, posted for you. So Hashura and then Nirlap, then Emma, and then Anvesha. A big hello to all of you. We will be definitely taking up your questions. But let me first finish mine. So now, after alimony, let's talk about child support in New Jersey, Seema. So if you can please tell us, how is child support calculated in New Jersey and what factors influence the determination of child support payments?
So child support is actually easy because there is a formula to calculate child
Okay.
support. So
Oh, okay.
you have a custodial parent and you have a non-custodial parent. The
Right.
custodial is called the parent of primary residence, and the
Mhm.
non-custodial is called the parent of alternate residence.
Okay.
So the parent of primary residence is, and this is in a joint legal custody. Again, the type of custody that takes place is important to calculate child support. But there is a formula, there is a worksheet that you fill in, and it spits out a number as to
Mm.
the calculation. So what
Mm.
goes into that worksheet is the incomes of the two parties, who is the taxes they've paid, what is the overnights each parent is going to have. If one is having 52 in a year, one is having a lot more. All those numbers are put in there. If you
Mhm.
have insurance coverage by one parent, that is put in there so that the other parent can the parent paying for the insurance can get a credit towards his payment of child support because he's covering the child's health insurance. Then there are other expenses for children that may or may not be added into the child support. For example, extracurricular activities, work related childcare. Work related childcare is covered and the other person has to share. So for example, if I am working and I have to use a daycare to put the
Mhm.
child in, both parties have to split in proportion to their incomes, whatever is determined from the child support guidelines. And then you
Right.
have extracurricular activities, which generally is not put in the child support because those keep fluctuating, they keep changing. So
Mhm.
generally, work-related child support, extracurricular activities, college expenses, all that is kept outside of child support. Child
Okay.
support literally covers the living, the food, clothes, medical expenses, anything related to the child. If they go to camps, tuition, all of that is the camps and all separate. It comes under work related childcare or extracurricular activities. That's separate. So
Mm.
child support and child expenses have several categories. But the basic child support, there's a calculation for it, there's a formula. You just plug in the numbers in a worksheet and it spits out what each parent is who pays which parent
Okay.
and the
Okay.
amount.
All right. So, I mean, have you handled cases where, the women have also, given child support to the father or the male partner?
Yeah, I've had cases where they've given alimony to the male partner also, not only child support.
Amazing. I mean, can you please share?
Doctors, if somebody is, I had a client who was a doctor. She made
Mhm.
like $700,000, and the husband was making $150,000. So at that point, she was giving him $5,000 every month in alimony.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for sharing that, Seema. Now, my next question to you was supposed to be: are there any specific guidelines or formulas used to calculate child support in the state? But then I think we have already covered it. So now let's move to equitable distribution. So, what does equitable distribution entail in the context of divorce in New Jersey, and how are assets and debts typically divided during this process?
So assets and debts both are belong to the two people. Any assets or debts incurred in the marriage, it's a very fundamental term. Anything
Okay.
incurred. If you get married to somebody today and he's coming with a debt of 100,000, you're not responsible for that. So,
Okay.
and if you have a spouse who's coming into the marriage with $100,000 of money in his bank, you're not even entitled to that unless it is mingled with your marital funds. If it gets
Okay.
mingled, then you are then he cannot claim it was extramarital. I mean, it
Mm,
was premarital. Sorry,
pre-married. Okay.
it was premarital. He cannot claim that. So you've got to
Mm-hmm.
be careful when you're, especially for high net worth clients. That's why they have prenups.
Mm,
So all assets and debts are equitably divided. And I use the word equitably because it is not necessarily 50-50. It could be
mm-hmm.
50-50, not necessarily. Again, because the premarital portion comes into play and that has to be deducted.
Okay.
So assets would include your bank accounts. Okay, you have joint bank accounts. Even if you have an individual bank account, but all your income during the marriage has gone into it, your wife or your other spouse gets half of
Mm-hmm.
it. So just because That bank account, I have clients come in and say, oh, you know what, I have my own account and he has his own account, so we don't have to give each other. I'm like, no, 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 no. You take all the accounts and you divide it. So
Okay.
he's entitled to 50% of your money, you're entitled 50% to his. So anything accumulated in the marriage, even if it doesn't have the other spouse's name on it, if you go
Okay.
by real estate
Mm-hmm.
during the marriage with marital income and you
Mm-hmm.
don't put your spouse's name on it, she's still entitled to 50% of that real property. So people
Okay.
have this myth that, oh, I didn't, we didn't touch each other's money. But if
Yeah.
you're fighting it, you can agree to waive it. You can
Right.
agree in an agreement that you keep yours, I keep mine. But if you go to court and a judge tries it, you're sharing everything.
Mm.
So then you have retirement accounts, you have brokerage accounts, all of that is valued. So all assets are
Mhm.
valued, even the bank, the money in the bank is as of the date of the filing of the divorce complaint. So if I
Okay.
file my divorce complaint today, you look at your bank accounts today, what is your balance? That is
Mm.
split. Now, a
Okay.
lot of times, people in contemplation of divorce will start moving assets a month prior. So what
Okay.
I do is I subpoena the bank records and I go back to see what all monies were moved and track it so that that's put back in the pot before the distribution. So you can
Mm.
upfront in your case management order let the judge know that we believe there's a dissipation of assets that needs to be added back.
Right.
Okay, so that's for bank accounts. Then you have retirement accounts and brokerage accounts. You evaluate as of the date of filing of the divorce complaint, whatever the
Uh-huh.
value is. And those are easy unless a spouse has, without the consent of the other spouse, taken loans from it. So I track that also. I'm like, okay, there's
Mhm.
loans here. You are responsible for that loan. So I put it back in that it's part of his share, not my client's share. So you have to
Okay.
be careful when you value these shares. Then there's valuation and appraisals of real property.
Uh-huh.
So normally courts will say, do you want a joint appraiser? You want to fight it and have your own appraisers? We generally do joint because it doesn't make sense. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever the appraised value is, then if one party is buying off the other, they will pay that differential, the appraised value, that person's share. Or some will say, no, I will not let you buy the house. They'll both be fighting for the house. So then the judge will order a sale of the house and the proceeds are divided after
Okay.
expenses, right? So that's for real property. Jewelry and all, that's such a highly litigated part of my case because
Okay.
women from our culture, as everybody knows, come with a ton of jewelry. So I
Yeah.
literally fight that jewelry is a wife, whatever she's brought into the marriage is
Uh-huh.
her premarital dowry. And we have to explain to the judges, I've explained to them, this is dowry, this is for her. It's gifts
Mm.
from her parents they've accumulated over the
To her.
years,
Yeah.
waiting for this day. So,
Mm.
you exclude all of that. You fight to exclude that from, but then any jewelry that they presented to each other in the marriage, if they're personal gifts, you keep
Mm-hmm.
your own gifts. You don't distribute that. But
Mm.
if it's you go by bars of gold, a lot of times people have like invested yearly in bars of gold. You split
Mhm.
those.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so it depends on what assets are. So it's highly technical. I have like huge spreadsheets whenever we do, especially high net worth divorces.
Right.
You have to really have a grip on all these numbers. And then, generally it is what it is. So one shouldn't be fighting it. They know the reality when you go to court. So you generally have like a marital settlement agreement. We agree, okay. And then cars. You divide cars. You equalize the value of cars. So if a
Mm.
wife is driving a Toyota and the husband has a Mercedes, we
Uh-huh.
equalize the value. So he pays her for the differential in value of the lower car she's driving. So
Okay.
we equalize value of cars as well, unless they are leased. If they are leased, then
Yeah.
that's all.
Okay. I mean, those are some really complex things to understand, but you are explaining them in such a simple way that it doesn't sound that complex, that complicated or complex to us now. I mean, but if we go deep into it, I'm sure it's more complex than what we think it is. So thank you so much for making us understand in such a simple and such a beautiful way, Seema.
Thank you.
And because I have already received, like I said, a lot of questions. Anvesha is here, and then Somesh has posted a question in two parts. So hi Somesh, we will be taking up your questions, but I still have two or three questions that I want to ask from my own end. After that, will definitely take up yours. So now, Seema, after this, now let's talk about alternate dispute resolution, ADR methods. Okay. So now, if you can please tell us what are the various ADR methods available for divorcing couples in New Jersey, and what are the benefits of opting for ADR over traditional litigation in divorce cases?
ADR is a very great process. It involves mediation or arbitration. Okay, so mediation is not binding. When you go to
Uh-huh.
arbitration, it's binding. So what happens in these cases is mediation. When you go to mediation, both the spouses should make sure that they're getting along with each other and they just want to
Mm,
part ways amicably. A mediator could help you. I do a lot of mediations as well, where you are impartial. You are not representing either one of them, but you are going to help them resolve their differences and come to a settlement and
mm,
do a memorandum of understanding with them, or even go to the next step. Some of them request me to draft the marital settlement agreement for them.
mhm,
So this is when parties are cordial. They are willing to sit across the table. They don't want to fight. If you want
mhm,
to fight and then argue, don't go for mediation because you're wasting your time. Um, So a mediation is very, very helpful. It saves you a lot of expenses on the court processes, because when you go to court, you have discovery that takes up thousands of dollars. Then you
right.
have, economic mediation. If you don't settle at the ESP phase, then you have to pay two attorneys. You have to
Mm,
pay half for the mediator, the economic mediator, and then you have to pay your attorney's counsel fees as well. So you're paying two people at that point. And all those monies can be put aside. And I always tell clients who come to me in inception that go
mhm,
sit with your spouse, make a list
mm.
of everything you have, decide who gets what, just write it down. I'll draft you a marital settlement agreement. I can get you divorced within a month. But if you fight it, you're paying a lot. I mean, I make money when people fight, but I don't like to make money that way. So So that's mediation. You come to
Mm,
an agreement. If I'm doing a mediation and say it falls apart, I cannot
mhm,
represent any one of them in a regular divorce after that because I have, as an impartial mediator, represented both of them at that point. So when people come to me for mediation and they're like,
mhm.
oh, but then can you represent me if this doesn't work out? I'm like, no. Once you hire me as a mediator, I can't represent you individually. So
Oh,
then arbitration is where you pick a neutral person to
uh-huh,
arbitrate. That's and you make it binding, or generally it should be binding. I'm not a fan of arbitrations because you're leaving your decision making in the hands of somebody who's not a judge. Who's it could be a retired judge. You could pick a
uh-huh,
retired judge. So it's not outside of the normal court processes. It's a
uh-huh.
private arbitration. You go, you pick somebody, and they arbitrate it for you. So I'm a fan of trying to mediate your case and ending it fast.
Mm,
Each one knows their downfalls or what they owe the other or what the other person is owed. So I feel just do it in a fair way. So mediation and arbitration are the two ADR methods. There's also collaborative process which I have never done and I've never really been a fan of. So I can't really speak much to that.
uh-huh,
But even early settlement panels, when you go through the court processes and you go to early settlement panel, even that's another way for you to settle right there because you have two panelists who are giving you their opinion, they're seasoned attorneys who are telling you this is how it should settle.
mm.
Alimony should be around this, you should divide this way. This
Yeah.
is what they can help you with child support calculations. So that's another place to, settle. But people can go for mediation, have their whole case set up and settled, then they can file the divorce complaint and be divorced within a month. So you're not
Oh,
stuck in the court. You do have to go to the court to file your
right.
divorce complaint and get divorced.
Uh-huh.
But you can do the mediation up front, have everything ironed out, have your MSA, which is a marital settlement agreement, signed and sealed in place. Then you
Mhm,
file your divorce complaint, put that in court, go for a hearing, you're divorced.
mm. Okay. Which, as an attorney, you would suggest. But
I would suggest if you're getting along. I mean, a lot of
uh,
times they say I'll come for mediation, but one spouse is not willing to give the divorce,
Yeah,
not willing
exactly.
to accept, not willing to
Right.
reconcile. So it becomes
Yeah.
extremely, extremely tough, and it's a waste of resources. Then they are paying a mediator, and then going the other spouse who's frustrated goes and files a divorce complaint anyway, and then they're fighting again. So you're paying double. But if you
Mm,
go to mediation with a good intention, good faith, you just pay that one mediator, you split the cost, and you're done.
mm. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for these insights, Seema. And Somesh has again posted a question. Looks like Somesh is really waiting for his turn, so that we can ask these questions from you, Seema. But Somesh, I would like to tell you that, and Somesh and everyone else who's watching us on different platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, I hope the session is informative and helpful to you. If you need any help, don't forget to reach out to Attorney Seema Singh. You can give her a call at 609 454 3168. You can also mail her at seema at ssinglawcom. You could visit our website, which is Seema Singh, ssinglawcom and seemasingh.com. Yes. She has two websites, so you can visit both of them. And if you're looking for a project placement or visa sponsorship, you can reach out to me on +1 732 707 9151. My mail ID is Rajni at higheritpeople.com. You can also visit our website, which is higheritpeople.com. Remember, we also sponsor H1B visas, and we also sponsor other work visas based on job availability and regulations. So, thank you, Seema, for sharing those insights. But now it's time for us to take a short break. So, people, when we return, we'll be taking up your questions from our audiences. Like, I can see towards the right side of my screen. So, make sure to send in more questions via our live chat feature, and just stay tuned to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 833 412 8472 or mail us at support@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com. Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 833 412 8472 or mail us at support@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to our live discussion on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. The topic for today is navigating divorce law in New Jersey, understanding alimony, child support, equitable distribution, and alternate dispute resolution. We are joined by Attorney Seema Singh, who is ready to tackle your questions head on. So, without any further ado, let's jump right into it. And let's take up our very first question, Seema, which is from Anvesha. So, Anvesha says, just a second. Okay, here is the question. Yeah. So Anvesha has posted this on YouTube, and she says if some spouse is able to no, sorry, if some spouse is able bodied, educated, and doesn't work, if she asks alimony, will it be cancelled or honored?
So first of all, I don't know what cancelled or honored mean. If they have, if they're asking for alimony, then the factors kick in as to the factors. You know evaluate each factor. But if they have an education, you get their you like I said, the labor stats will show you how much that person should earn for their education level, and you can get that amount imputed
Mm-hmm.
when you do the alimony calculation. So if they can earn, say for example, I mean I'm just throwing an example. I don't know who this person is, but say
Mm-hmm.
you have a spouse who's earning $200,000, and you have the other spouse who is able-bodied, educated, and doesn't work, but she is a school teacher but doesn't want to work. So if you get her degree evaluated or in the labor stats, how much does a school teacher with so many experience make, and say
Mm-hmm.
it comes to 60,000, there's still that differential in income, and the need and her need to live the same standard of life has to be evaluated. So yes, you may end up paying her alimony, but not as much if you would pay her with zero income imputed.
Mm.
I hope I'm answering that. So just because somebody is able-bodied, educated, doesn't work, doesn't mean they are going to get alimony. They should be made to work
Mm-hmm.
at some level or the other. Everybody has to work, unless there's a spouse who for 15, 20 years has just taken care of the kids, is living in a marriage, is never worked, and the spouse is making good money, then courts are not going to push them to work because they don't have that education level. They've not been in the job market for, so many decades. So that becomes a whole different scenario. Again, the length of marriage, the age of the parties,
Mm.
all of those factors are taken into consideration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, if you want a specific answer, so I think you will have to give out specific details for this, Anvesha. But for the question that you have posted, I hope you have got your answer. Now, let's take up Somesh's question. So, Somesh Pandit. So Somesh says, "Hi, ma'am. Following our last conversation, I did consult a few lawyers." Okay, so I think he's a regular viewer. So as he's saying, my wife has now left me and flew to India. She filed for maintenance and in her petition claimed I'm earning 1.2 crore per annum. Can we have the second part? She has then asked for 5 lakhs monthly spousal support. We don't have kids. Marriage lasted only 8 months. My spouse was earning but now claimed unemployed, and I fear court will grant huge maintenance. What do you have to say, Singh?
It seems to me the court, this case is in India, right? That's how
Um,
it's sounding.
well,
She
Somesh, if you
flew
can
to India,
also,
right? Did she file in India or did she file in New Jersey? In New Jersey, there is no way she would get. She may get initial spousal support during the pendency of the divorce, but for an 8-month marriage, she's not going to get much at all. In fact, she's not going to get alimony.
okay,
I'm not sure
okay.
where this case is. I mean, 5 lakhs,
I think
2.5 crores. It seems like it's in India. I don't know India law and what they do, but in
no,
New
I think because
Jersey,
we're talking about New Jersey, maybe I think he's talking
he's
about.
using lakhs and crores. So,
Oh, right, yeah, that is also there. So Somesh, if you
right.
can
So,
please clarify, whether you're talking about India or US, and in the meanwhile, let's take another question.
and he should get an attorney in India. That would be his best bet to, take the
Right,
opinion of a
absolutely.
professional in India as to the laws.
Yeah. All right. Somesh, just please answer the question. In the meanwhile, let's take up Hashura's question. So Hashura says, in cases of military divorce in New Jersey, what are the specific considerations regarding benefits such as TRICARE and military pensions?
I don't know what a military divorce is in New Jersey. Is it a person who's in the military? Is that what they mean? So I'm not sure. And pensions are, depending on the number of years of marriage, the pensions come under your assets, and they have to be the amount of pension calculated, um, as future income has to be also divided between the parties, or present income, sorry. The, the pensions that have accumulated during the marriage are divided, but I'm not sure what military divorce means. I've never done that. Hello? Rajni? Hello?
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees, global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 833 412 8472 or mail us at support@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
What happened?
Hi, I'm so sorry about the technical difficulty. So there was something that happened, but yeah, glad that I came back and everything is settled now. So we were talking about Hashura's question. I'm so sorry, Seema. I would like to apologize to you and also to the audiences who I kept waiting, but then because of these technical difficulties. So now let's quickly take up Nirlap's question. So Nirlap wants to know what are the options for individuals on H-1B visas regarding their immigration status if they are getting divorced in New Jersey.
I'm not understanding what he means by options. If you're getting divorced, you're getting divorced. The bigger question is, if you're getting divorced, you're following the New Jersey law right here. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The bigger question is for the H4 spouse, because the moment you get divorced, the H4 spouse's visa ends and they have
Mm,
to go back. And the issue arises when there are kids of that marriage. And I've literally done a case last year where
okay.
we had to split the kids. One she took and one he kept.
Oh my
So
God. It
those
must be
are
so
the issues
difficult
that
for the
are
kids,
caught.
right?
Sorry?
It must be so difficult for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't let go and she didn't want to leave without the kids. So it was a very big fight. So H1B, if you have an H1B visa, you file the divorce in the same way that you file any other person files here. The same laws apply. The issue is for the H4 spouse and if there are children. That becomes a huge issue.
Okay. Okay. I think let's take that topic for another discussion for another episode because I think after listening to it sounds a little complicated. So now let's take up Emma's question, Emma Morley. So Emma has posted this on YouTube and she says, "What is the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act (UCCJEA) and how does it apply in New Jersey?"
So it's just the Child Custody Act where any child that resides in New Jersey is under the jurisdiction of the New Jersey courts. So all the child support, the custody, all of them applies to it. So if a spouse takes a child and tries to kidnap them, or all of those, there's another criminal acts that go along with this. But this UCCJEA applies to the child support custody. It's valid throughout the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if somebody has taken a child to another state, you can get that child back. But these custody and child support orders are valid. And any child living in New Jersey is under the jurisdiction of New Jersey courts. So, for example, you living in India, this wife moves here,
Mm-hmm.
they're living here for 5 years, 10 years, and the husband files a divorce in India and tries to get custody of the children there, he's not going to get it because the children are in New Jersey. So the child custody jurisdiction lies with New Jersey. So he cannot be filing in India. That's why a lot of times people will take the children to India and not let them come back and then file a divorce.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it's basically saying in layman's language that the jurisdiction of New Jersey courts apply to children who are residing in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, thank you so much, Emma, for your question. I hope you have got the answer. Now, let's take up our next question, which is from, okay, Marthishwaran. I hope I'm taking your name right, Marthishwaran. And he asks, can a spouse's ownership of a closely held business affect alimony payments in New Jersey?
I honestly don't understand the question. Who owns the closely held business and who is getting the alimony?
Mm,
If you have a closely held business, it's valued. There's a valuation done. It's divided, right? So if you are only running the business and your income is coming from there, then that
mhm.
income stream goes towards, evaluating whether you
Right.
pay alimony. The closely held business in itself is an asset which is valued, and the wife is or is not given a share as part of equitable distribution. So
Mm,
the closely held business affecting alimony, I'm not sure because does he have another job? Is his income coming from here? What is his income stream? Is what goes into effect for alimony payments. If his closely held business is making $2 million a year,
yeah.
yeah, that's his income, right? So if he has to pay alimony, that income is going to affect it. But the closely held business on its own, when you're doing the divorce in as equitable distribution, a valuation of that is given to the spouse if it's a marital accumulated or set up during the marriage and run through the marriage.
Mm, okay.
So I can't just answer these as a
Yeah.
as a specific question. There are many factors or many other facts that go into play to answer
Mm,
these.
okay. So you need specific details
Yes,
to
yes.
give out an
I
answer,
don't
right?
even know.
Correct.
I mean, each person has their own specific stuff. They can
Yeah.
call me later, but
Yeah, so Marthishwaran, now I think you can connect with Seema. We already have given her, contact details to you, and we are also again going to, give them out to you. But right now, I think let's take our viewers' questions. So next question that we have is from NM. So NM wants to know, my divorce case is still pending. My lawyer said like I can still move to US by providing power of attorney to my parents. Now what to fill in DS 160 marital status? Can I mention as divorced? What do you have to say?
it's pending. He's not divorced.
So you'll have to say married, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or separated. I don't know if there's a category for that.
Yeah. So you'll have to check NM basically
Check
if
with your
there's an
lawyer
option.
who's doing a
Yeah.
divorce.
Okay, yeah, you should
It
check
seems
with
like his
your
divorce is in India.
right, right. So you'll have to check with your lawyer, NM. Thank you
You're
for
not
your
yet.
question.
Till you get a divorce decree in hand, you're not divorced. You can get back with your spouse on the day you're going to sign it. So you're not divorced.
Like we see in movies, right?
No, I've had real cases
Oh my
where
God,
they
have
fought.
you?
Yeah, they fought for 2 years, and on the day of the divorce hearing, we go to court. They settled. We withdrew everything, and we came back. So they fought for 2 years to pay lawyers.
Now that's bizarre and a
But
little
but
weird also,
but I
but
think my client was making a point, and now they have a beautiful marriage. So
wow.
she
After
didn't care
fighting
spending
for
that money to make a point.
okay. I mean that's nice. If it works for you, it works for you, right?
Right. So you can't say divorce till you're divorced. You have the divorce decree in hand.
Just like you have to get your educational degree in your hand. So until the
Exactly.
time till the time you have the degree, you're still pursuing your education, right? Yeah. So
Exactly.
now, okay, NM we have done. Now let's take up next question. So the next question is from Sarvesh, and Sarvesh wants to know what are the tax implications of divorce in New Jersey?
So there are two payments: child support and alimony. And if they apply, child
Mm-hmm.
support is not taxable to the recipient, and it cannot be deducted by the payer.
Mm-hmm.
Alimony is taxable to the recipient, and it is not tax deductible to the payer. So a lot of times when we are, doing these calculations,
Mm-hmm.
it's better for us to advise, okay, take a higher child support than alimony. So you cut it off because you then pay taxes on it. So these kind of, discussions go into play. Even when we are trying to negotiate a settlement,
Mm-hmm.
the one spouse would be better, feel better giving more child support than alimony because child support is for their child.
Yeah.
And for the recipient, it's good because that's not being taxed. However,
Mm.
the downside is child support could be ending faster than alimony would. Again, it's case by case basis. You could have started a divorce when your kids are like 19. So your child support is going to end in a couple of years when they get emancipated. But
Mm.
you may have a long term marriage in which you could get a more number of years of alimony. So again, these are
Yeah.
things you have to weigh and discuss with your attorney on your specific situation, and
Right.
talk to your accountant. But general law is that child support is not taxable to the recipient, but even the payer, it's not tax deductible, and
Mm.
alimony is not taxable to the recipient.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for your question, Sarvesh. I hope you have got the answer now. Now let's quickly take up Yuri's question. So Yuri says, how does the division of intellectual property, such as patents or copyrights, work in New Jersey divorce? That's a
Again,
different
all valuations.
one. Okay.
It's all valuations. What does that patent do? Is it being used in a business? Is that part of the business valuation?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that has a lot of value depending on, again, and you have experts who can do those valuations for you. And if there is a patent, I'm sure it's being used somewhere, especially in pharma, or those are high value. And if you've created it during your marriage, yes, it does get divided.
Mm. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Yuri, for your question. Now, Seema, I would like to come back to my own questions that I prepared for you. So now, if you can please talk about, impact of immigration status on divorce proceedings. Right. I thought we won't be able to cover it up, but since we have a little bit time, so I would like to know from you, how does immigration status impact divorce proceedings in New Jersey? What rights do immigrant spouses have in terms of alimony, child support, and equitable distribution?
It's the same rights. There's nothing to do with their status. However,
Mhm.
like I explained, if you're an H4
Yeah.
and say you're the wife and you have
Mm.
2 kids, I just had that case.
Yeah.
So at that point, as soon as the day the divorce decree is signed, you have 30 days to leave the country. Your H4 is null and void.
Mm.
So that's when we work out deals with the other side. That there are 2 kids, and the wife will fight. I'm not going to go without my kids, but the kids are, say, U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to go alone.
Yeah.
So at that point, you know, make a MSA, you agree to all the terms, you sign it and say, okay, but file the divorce in 4 years. You've
Okay.
separate, you've already dealt with the monetary part, you've dealt with the child support, you've dealt with all the other issues, you've agreed, you've signed, but don't do the actual divorce because the moment that divorce decree is signed, the H goes visas null and void. Same for
Oh.
an F4.
Uh-huh.
If there's an F1 student with an F4, it could be have the same impact. They have to leave the moment
Yeah.
that divorce is signed. So a lot of times they will convert their H4 into an F1 to
Mm.
remain, and then the spouse may agree to pay for the education. I've just had a case a month ago
Mm-hmm.
where he wanted the divorce very badly. He's like, I'll pay for her education, tell her to convert to F1. So
Okay.
those are all negotiations, again, case by case basis.
Mm-hmm.
What is the need? But in that first case of mine, um, the husband did not want the wife to take the kids. He wanted her to leave. He wanted the divorce. He wanted everything.
Okay.
And like I was representing the wife, and I was, willing to go for the full blown trial
Uh-huh.
to show the judge. And eventually he agreed, and I said, okay, split the kids then, which was devastating. But
Uh-huh.
at least she went with one son and he kept one son.
Okay.
So that's what happened like about 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. So these cases are, for you also, it must be really difficult, right? At
It
times
is.
when you,
It's emotionally draining, and
yeah,
especially when there are kids who are younger.
yeah,
Older kids, it's not that big a deal, but with younger kids, it's very very emotional when they're
oh,
trying to like fight with.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're not agreeing to come to a settlement, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this guy wanted it all, and I was like, no, you can't have it all. You
Yeah.
either wait for 4 years, give up 4 years, until the kids go to college. Then they are of an age where we don't have to worry. They can come and go and meet both parents because anyway, if you're in India, you send your kids for good education abroad
Yeah.
anyway. So the whole dynamics changes. But these were kids who were 11 and 12 years old.
Right. But do they also ask the kid, the child to, which parent would they like to go to? I mean,
So courts are not in favor of that, but you can move, and again, that's another extra step and expense. You can have a guardian ad litem appointed for the children. The children can be uh, appointed with a guardian ad litem who is basically an attorney for the
uh-huh.
kids. He is the guardian for the kids. He can
Okay.
then fight on behalf of the kids and present a case. Again, it's another layer of expenses. So
Uh,
yes, and there are many times that I'll request the judge that you interview the child.
mm,
9 out of 10 judges don't like to do that because they
mm,
feel a kid may be coached or they may be under pressure, they may be
yeah.
scared to say certain things, so they don't like that.
Okay.
So I'll make an application generally for, appoint a guardian ad litem for the kids. Let that guardian ad litem issue your report as to uh, which parent is better for the kids' best interest.
Mm, okay. Okay. All right. So, Asima, it's already one. But before I let you go, I mean, I know you have to leave because, you're really busy. But before I let you go, one last question from Deepak Singh. And Deepak Singh wants to know, how does New Jersey handle the division of retirement accounts in a divorce? If you can
They
please.
have the quadros are what is created, the Qualified Domestic Relations Order. So
Mm,
the quadro will basically, so if you have a retirement fund and you again take the income balance, I mean the balance on the account on the date of filing of the divorce, and then plus minus the increase in the market, in the market fluctuation.
right.
So on that day, then it's divided. So we have companies like All Pro. There are many different quadro companies. It's called Qualified Domestic Relations Order. So
Mm,
that pension is then divided as of the date of filing of divorce, but it
mhm,
only includes all marital income. So if your retirement has started prior to your marriage, they will exclude all that. I'm zero at calculating all that. So these specific companies,
uh-huh.
actuaries, they calculate and they
Okay.
will exclude your premarital income. They'll take the income that you've made plus minus the fluctuations in the market, and they will divide that. If a spouse has taken a loan and we've in the marital settlement agreement agreed that loan belongs to one spouse, and they will make that allocation accordingly. And then
Okay.
they'll form a quadro, and they will take that portion of the other spouse and they'll put it in another retirement. So you don't touch the retirement; it just separates out.
Mm, okay. So thank you so much, Deepak, for posting your question. Thank you so much, Seema, for answering them. You speak so beautifully and you explain things so simply and so in such a nice manner that I don't want the show to end. I want the episode to go on, and I want to keep on asking my questions. But I
Thank
know
you.
that you're really busy. So I would now like to thank you for again coming to the show, and doing the show means really means a lot to us. And now we'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you. I have to rush. But
Yeah.
thank you to all the viewers, listeners. Great being with all of you. And you can call me in my office or send me an email is the best way to reach me. Seema
Uh-huh.
at singhlaw.com. Just use
Right.
that email.
Yeah,
I
I was about
I
to
take
mention
my
it actually.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
everyone, so if you have a question to the attorney, if you need any help regarding these things, wherever you're watching it from, what you can do is you can connect with her. You can reach out to attorney Seema Singh. You can give her a call at 609-454-3168. You can mail her at seema@singhlaw.com. You can visit her website www.singhlaw.com and www.seemasingh.com. And if you're looking for a project placement or visa sponsorship, you can reach out to me on +1 732 707 9151. My mail ID is Rajni at higheritpeople.com. You can also visit our website, which is www.higheritpeople.com. Remember, we also sponsor H1B visas and other work visas based on job availability and regulations. All right. So thank you to our lovely, lovely attorney Seema Singh. And also, I want to thank you, our audiences, for tuning in and participating in the discussion. Until next time, remember, even in the midst of divorce, there's always hope for a brighter tomorrow. So I'll see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Bye for now.
bye bye. Thank
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees, global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 833-412-8472 or mail us at support@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.